Hello, everyone. Welcome back. For those of you inside the United States of America, happy Thanksgiving. Today is November 25th, 2025, at least for the next few hours. So it has been a very busy day for me. For those people who may not be familiar, American Thanksgiving often centers around a lot of family get-togethers. In my case, I think there was 17 adults plus kids running around my house up to about 30 minutes ago. So it has been nice and chaotic. But I have all of my favorite things now. I have copious amounts of turkey, and I have my Mountain Dew beverage, complete with holiday coffee creamer mixed in. I know it sounds disgusting to a lot of people. I absolutely love it. It's wonderful. So tonight, before we dive too far in, a couple things to get out of the way first. Let's go this way. So, first of all, in chronological order, things happening in the near future. Spokane.net user group. This is coming up December 2nd. If you are watching this in the future, check out Intelitech's YouTube channel. It is being streamed and recorded there. So, free event if you are in the Spokane, Washington area and want to drop in. Would love to have you. Otherwise, if you are remote, you can catch the live stream via YouTube or the recording after the fact. We're going to be going over everything. It's going to start off with a focus of what's new in C# 14 because there are some really cool features. But just going through my itinerary, I also have some stuff that's new in kind of the .NET BCL SDK areas, a little bit of what is new in the EF space, just kind of trying to hit on areas that are likely to affect large numbers of .NET developers. So if you are a .NET developer, this is for you. So definitely check it out. Next one, GitCon. So this is a free online conference put on by GitKraken every year. Once again, you can attendees can enter to win cool prizes, which is awesome. But there's kind of 2 days of it. One is kind of focused on the people who are doing more of the hands-on building, and then one is kind of more on the scaling leadership management side of the fence. Not saying those are going to be mutually exclusive and there's a little bit of overlap between them, but just in case you're wondering kind of how the themes are shaking out of it, this is where it is going. And more importantly, the this talk right here, I'm maybe a little biased towards the ship smarter, not harder. Beyond the commit with practical GitKraken workflows. This one I really enjoyed putting together. I hope it doesn't come across as a little rushed because, frankly, when I was doing it, I was trying to slow myself down, but I had so much content that I was trying to fit into the right time window. It was a little hard, but it is jam packed with awesome information. So check it out, gitcon.com. It's going to be awesome. Izzy, Merry Christmas and Happy Thanksgiving today. Because I do have copious amounts of turkey. Unfortunately, my family did not eat enough turkey, which means I have lots of leftover turkey. Like lots of it, which is I'm going to be eating turkey for a while. Okay, next up, .NET Conf. So people may recognize this. This was Microsoft's conference middle of November. Don't remember the exact dates. But if you go to the .NET Conf site, there's this, let me turn that off. There's this local events bit up here, and you can scroll through chronological. So if you are looking for an event near you, toppings on pizza. Ooh, that's an interesting idea. I definitely do it in like tortilla wraps. I also love it on sandwiches. I also make sandwiches out of waffles. And then I just like eating it straight because turkey's awesome. Like I get turkey only around Thanksgiving and Christmas time, and so it's always a treat. But more importantly, if you are in the Spokane area, we are doing a local .NET Conf event as well, which is great. I don't know that we have. Yeah, so we've got a little bit of an itinerary scheduled out here for anybody interested. So for reference, this event is free for online. We are charging a little bit for in person. There's some food and extra bits for people who are actually physically present. There's me at the beginning, and then there is something from Dan. If you've done any of the .NET user groups, you'll be familiar with him. And then Ben Michaelis is giving this talk here on how he built out playlist files. I think I teased this talk out before. I kind of nerd snapped him a little bit once on my streams when I was like, hey, it'd be really cool when these tests fail on my pipeline if I could just download a Visual Studio playlist file to run just those failing tests. Well, it turns out a nerd snipe turned into him actually implementing it and then getting to speak at a talk. So my nerd snipes are kind of cool. So points to Ben because he did an awesome job with it. But more importantly, it's kind of how he used AI to accomplish that, because it was potentially going to take him a lot longer than it actually did. And then we also have a Microsoft guest that's going to be coming and speaking. It's going to be something around the Copilot extensibility or APIs. This may tweak a little bit. We're kind of going back and forth with Gareth, figure out exactly what that needs to look like. But this is the schedule. So if you are interested, again, free for online attendees, or if you are in person, we've got food and lunch type stuff. So if you're not in person, I'm sorry, you're going to miss out on the food part. You got to provide your own. So grab your remote beverage of choice and join in for it. So those are everything that's coming up in like the next 30 days. So I have at least 3 events, and then I've got I've got 1 private training event that I'm doing. So I've got a lot of speaking engagements in the next 30 days. So I got to get my coding itch out somewhere. So that's what tonight is. Sorry. I tried to tell my brother-in-laws that it was holiday Mountain Dew. They did not believe me, nor did they want to partake. So that was a little disappointing. Anyway, okay, so last time, as those people will remember, we were looking at what's the cost of a plane to the nearest airport from the UK? Oh boy, buddy. Hang on. I will tell you. Flights from what is it? Heathrow to GG. Let's see here. What is let's see. So technically there is an international airport that is fairly close. Just hypothetical. What date is that on? December. You're gonna make me go. Yeah, I gotta look up the dates now. Let's see. So it's January 13th. So we're gonna we'll plug something in. Update. Here it is on Kayak if you're interested. So 13 well, hang on. We're hunting a little bit. Ooh, we might get below 4 digits. Not by much, but it looks like potentially below 4 digits. I mean, depending on exactly, I'm sure there's date flights around here. So we're going to say 4 digits. 4 digits, give or take a little bit. Because GEG is the Spokane International Airport, which is conveniently located not far from Intelitech's office. It's only about, 8 minutes away. So, because our office is right off of the freeway, so easy access, which is convenient. So, I'm assuming that question was somewhat in jest, Izzy, but the answer is just under 4 digits. Probably over 4 digits after taxes and assorted fees and other things. Okay. So, conveniently, after last week's stream, there was a number of very kind individuals, we will call them, who messaged me and said, "Hey, you're an idiot." Now they use much nicer words, but it turns out that if you don't spell the word Velopack correctly in your NuGet config, it doesn't work as well. So part of the struggle that we were fighting with yesterday was the fact that I hadn't spelled Velopack properly in my NuGet config, which was causing all kinds of issues, and I don't doubt I was getting the wrong version of packages and other assorted things, messing things up. Let's see. Three X's would have to bring family too, plus 5 digits for their spending money. That sounds right. Like if you're going to fly international, you also probably don't just come for a day. I'm guessing if you're going to go that far, you usually make a trip out of it. I mean, I'd be doing the same if I went to London. I'm not flying to London just for one day and then turn around and flying back. That's a lot of flying for very little time. If I'm going to fly to London, I'm going to, make a week of it or at least. So, that always adds up a little bit more. So yeah, anyway, last time, just to correct my mistakes, you should spell the name of your package correctly, especially when it's your own package, so that you don't look like an idiot while streaming. That's the lesson. So, with that said, we do have a build package running, and we were looking at the pack task at the beginning, specifically plugging in a debugger launch. And the only thing I did, I think, because I was poking at it a little bit, is I did build out this build pack arguments command here, and this is one of my things that I enjoy doing whenever I need to build up a list of things. A lot of people like to do, list of string and then just conditionally add to it. For some reason, I really like my iterators. Can't really explain it. I find it feels cleaner and nicer, where this thing just iterates through and I conditionally return things out of the iterator, and then I effectively to array it with the new spread operator and then collection expression. I find that to be nice. Now, to each his own. If I was overly concerned about memory allocations, I don't know that this is actually the most efficient. So with that said, there's almost assuredly cleaner options here. Yeah, Izzy, at least 2 weeks, and then I might just be home just in time for my first batch of Enigma boards. Got rotor stator and reflector done. Oh, that is so cool, Izzy. That's so cool. Don't worry, I do promise to get back on to doing the 3D side of the fence. I was playing with Unity a little bit and trying to get my feet wet. I'm a little torn. I'm a little torn. I think I understand now why people like suggesting going Unity rather than something else. It feels weird and wrong, and I'm not sure I like it. So there is that. But I do, like I said, I want to get back to it, but I also want to make sure I make a good decision so I'm not just spinning my wheels running down the wrong path, because that feels like a bad idea too. Okay. Let's see, Hyson. Quick question. In Git Kraken, how do you map the Control-Shift-E to open the current repo's solution file in Visual Studio? If we set Visual Studio as an external, it just opens the repo root folder in Visual Studio. Great question. And the answer is I don't believe it's currently possible. So the way I have mine set up in here, so underneath external tools, is there are arguments here to be able to pass in individual files. The issue that I have, because you could point this at dev env and feed it your solution or SLNX file, and that will work. The problem being is that unless you've named all of your solution files the same, this command really needs to be repo specific. And that's been some feedback I've given back to them as well, is this is great, but unless I can do something fancier in here. So like I've heard of some people do weird things with like scripts where they're like, oh, I'm always just going to put a PowerShell script or something at the root of my repo so that this thing works. That kind of does it. With VS 2026, so for example, right, I can go over to here to my auto typer one. So I go the Control-Shift-E, fires up, and it is pointed at the repo. So it's going to get the folder explorer in here. And it looks weird because it's like, oh, you had all the right files open. Well, not really. Like I'm still in the folder view up here, right? Like I'm not actually in the solution explorer. But then I just double click the solution and launch. So at present, I think the answer is you don't. But it is feedback that has been passed back to them because there's a handful of things that they would like to do that would require kind of custom things per repo. And they do have the ability to do repo specific settings because they have these things down here, but this is the external tools, as I've been told, is not really coded that way yet. So they kind of have to refactor. So I know it's on their radar, as are many things. It's just I suspect it's just a matter of priorities. They've only got so many dev hours in a month, and so I know it is definitely feedback I have passed along, but I can certainly bring it up again. Of hey, it would be really cool if, yeah, yeah. Perfect, Izzy. Yeah, I realize we have plenty of time, but I'm trying to not get into like crunch time. I've been trying. I've been so good recently. I'm trying to avoid redoing the pain of my wrongness in the past. Okay, so what I would like to do now is now that we have this pack thing running, I would actually like to see it work. So on that auto typer repository, I have put in a package reference here, right? And I've commented out my old one, and I am myself on the left before I just needs DevOps integration. Ooh, are you talking about for the Enigma project, Izzy? Because if you've got a DevOps instance that you want to tie into, I can happily spin some pipelines and whatnot. But I have tied it into my local build here. And the key thing is because I'm using the Git versioning. I'm trying to remember the name of the package. We'll go look in a minute. This version remains consistent for what I'm pointed at, and so I've just commented out the old one, put this build one in place. In theory, this Velopack reference should be able to be eliminated at some point because I'd like to kill both of those off. And I think my NuGet versioning stuff was part of the problem. But I think we're going to launch this, and I'd like to step through this. So because we have a debugger launch, I'm going to manually rebuild this project to get me a new NuGet package. I'm going to go open up my NuGet cache. So for those people unfamiliar with it, your NuGet cache is, unless you've changed it, let's see, NuGet is typically right underneath your user profile. Come on. Oh, it was open. I just didn't realize it. Kept clicking on it. And then packages. Then we're going to jump down to Velopack. And then I am just going to torch this. So, because the issue is, and I talked about it a little bit last time, is with NuGet packages, when .NET or Visual Studio goes to restore your packages, if the packages are present in the local cache, it will use that rather than reaching out to the package source, which is fine, except for that's predicated on the assumption that packages at a particular version are immutable, which in most cases is true. The case where it's not true is where we have found ourselves in this particular thing where the source of these things is going to be a local directory where I am just deleting and recreating the package. So because of that, the package is not immutable and it's always at the same version because I am versioned based upon Git, and it is literally versioning based upon my commit hash of wherever I'm at. So, which is fine. It's going to work great. Let's just verify that because I think because I made a commit, I'm probably going to get a slightly different version when I build. So I want to back up real quick here and double check because it's here debug. Where's my thing pointed to? Just want to double check where I'm pointed at just to make sure that I get the right one. Private Velopack build debug. Velopack build debug. There we go. Okay, so, and yeah, I'm just looking at the timestamp here, 918. That's the one I just built. So my version number has slightly shifted because every time you make a commit, the versioning here changes. Because what is this? What is the package called that versions based upon your git commit. Then it's in one of these. It's like git, yeah, NerdBank git versioning. This guy here. That's what's causing it to get versioned based upon my commit hash, which is a very convenient way of versioning. I will say that. Part of me loves it. Part of me hates it. I've been tripped up by it enough times. I go, I kind of like it, but I also hate it has a lot of foot gunny capability. If you aren't paying attention or realize what's going on. And I keep foot gunning myself, which could be a bit of my own ignorance. So I want to go here and I want to change this package version to be, oh, I did way too much because I grabbed the whole file name. Not quite what we want. Here we go. Okay, so that should get that guy into the appropriate place. And then I want a terminal. So open external terminal. And then we are going to cd into the UI project. .NET. No, this fires on publish. So we want to run a .NET publish. And this should pop my debugger. Which is ultimately what I want to see. Okay. Chris, welcome. Howdy, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome, everybody. All kinds of people. It's good to see you. Hopefully you had a good stream. Happy Turkey Day to you as well. I have turkey next to me because what would Turkey Day be without lots of turkey? Unfortunately, my family did not eat enough turkey, so now I get to eat lots of turkey for days. It was a good long one. Excellent, excellent. Hopefully good and relaxing. Turkey pot pies. There you go. There you go. I will say, not all of my family likes turkey. My father, in particular, is very much a anti-turkey, all ham person. So that definitely contributed to it. But yeah, hopefully you had a great stream. For anybody on here just joining, we are poking at a library of mine, Velopack, which, if anybody is interested, the repo. There's also a. Okay, Lurk, have a good night. You too, Chris. So we went ham. Exactly. Yeah, no. So Velopack is a project I am one of the founders of. It's a simple way of creating installers and updaters for thick client applications. So we've got support for, let's see, .NET, Go, Python, Rust, Electron. Trying to think of what else. We've got a bunch of different ones that have SDKs built in, and then there's also integrations for if there's not a particular SDK for your app, it works kind of generically regardless of what the executable is. You just need to have an app that you want to deploy. So, but right now we are working on specifically a .NET integration so that for .NET people, when you run .NET Publish, it automatically creates the installer and publishes it so that you don't have to do any work. Very similar to how some .NET commands might publish NuGet packages. That's what we want. I want the one command make it work situation. So that's where we're going. That's what we're looking at. And right now we're going to debug and figure out what the heck I've done wrong. So that's the exciting part, because right now we are looking at the packaging of it. So there's our breakpoint. Let's step up into actual real code. JC, good morning, good evening, depending on where you're at. Okay, so we've got our debugger launch. Great. We'll step into the tool runner. Great. That did what we wanted. Build pack arguments, and we're just going to take a quick gander at what we actually picked up here. A whole bunch of stuff. So pack So it has the pack ID specified, great. Pack version specified, pack directory specified, which looks correct. Output directory specified, good. Main exe, pack authors, pack title. Now the main exe is probably wrong. That's something we need to clean up. Same with pack authors. This looks incorrect to me. Title is fine defaulting that way, but again, it's probably something that I need to clean up. Let's see, we got an icon set, great. We're going to generate deltas with speed over compression, and then a couple of shortcuts. Okay, I think a lot of these ones are probably just defaulted, which works for me. Log message, great. Okay, run VPK. So let's see how this works. So we're going to go in here, and this is where we were getting bit before, is finding the actual VPK exe, because this build task is just going to wrap the executable that we've already compiled in to the NuGet package, which should be, we look here, this is the one we've just grabbed. We have tools, net8, and then we should find VPK down here. So this is ultimately what we are targeting, is this path in here. So from our packages root, we are looking to back up and go down to the tools net8 directory, which I think that's exactly where we're at. I need to not do that one and just, seems like it's on point. Visually it looks right. So let's see. So that's going to take that directory up 2 levels, which is fine because that gets us out of the build net8, and then it goes down to the tools net8, points at VPK DLL. That should work. File should exist. Great. Found it. Wonderful. And then we've got our arguments here. And so our process is going to end up being call.net, and then append the arguments, which we should then see in here where there is a whole metric ton of them. Great. Looks like exactly what we expected. Great. Okay. And then no environment variables to set. And then we've got our output data. Go ahead and start the process. Wait for the exit code. Exit code 1. That is no bueno. No bueno. Oh, and did I log the output somewhere? At least not that's been shown yet. I really should wrap up this logging so that I can get it when I'm debugging as well, rather than it just going here. Oh, let's see. Main exe does not have an exe extension, so we have to fix that first. Okay. Is that a fair assumption? I think it is. I think it is. So that is just an error being surfaced out of. Oh, I guess I do capture the errors. Like it goes into the string builder. Okay. So this should then fail out, but it should give a nice error here. Yeah. So warning there, main exe does not have an exe extension, and then the tool fails out and fails to publish. Okay, so where do we get the main exe name? That is the question. So inside of this targets file, so with NuGet packages, if you place inside of your NuGet package, we'll go back into it. Underneath your build directory, if you create a props and a targets file where the name of the file matches your NuGet package ID, these automatically get added to any project that references your NuGet package. This is incredibly powerful. Like a long time ago, NuGet packages used to have these arbitrary PowerShell scripts that could get executed when your NuGet package got installed. That got scrapped because of the obvious abuse that can happen when somebody downloading your NuGet package just arbitrarily runs PowerShell. This is slightly better only because it doesn't automatically run just when the package is installed, but it does execute the moment, hypothetically, somebody tries to compile with your package. So when you see NuGet packages doing this, it means they can do some incredibly powerful stuff because they can arbitrarily execute code as soon as someone compiles referencing your package. So be careful. This is how supply chain attacks occur. Okay, but what we are looking for here is where our main exe gets pushed all the way through. So where is main exe? It's going to be in here somewhere. I really should sort these. These should probably get sorted. Let's see. Oh, I can't do it inside here, can I? I have to do it from VS Code. That's annoying. That's annoying. Let's go here. Let's go here. Do it in code. Pilot, go away. Don't need you. Let's see. Source. KV Velopack build. Then I want the targets file, and I come down here, and I come down here, and I go, see all these lovely things here? It would be really, really cool if all of these things were sorted. Sort lines, I think descending. Nope. Let's see. Sort lines, ascending. There we go. There, now they're in order. That makes me feel better. Some things are just easier in other editors. So we switch to them. Okay, so main exe. What is it called? Not called main. Let me just look at my args because that's the one that's actually populating it. Entry executable name, so it's E. Okay, entry executable name, which I'm populating here as the assembly name. I don't believe this is quite what I want. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to add the binary logger on here. Because I want to look at, like, this is still going to fail in the same exact way because I haven't changed anything. But I'd like to get some information about the I would like to get some information about the built-in variables of what I should be setting this to use. So these are the ones that actually got passed through and done. But what I am interested in is we have this assembly name here, and up at the top level of this guy is almost assuredly a bunch of parameters. And one of these is probably more likely what we're after. Let's see here. Find me assembly name. Where do you get set? Largely in the here. What are we under here? Oh, it's in the evaluation stage. Okay. So what I'm really looking for in this case is which of the built-in variables is actually going to contain the output name. Because I think assembly name may be incorrect because it doesn't contain the extension. And I could just search for the value that I expect it to be, but I also am fairly confident it's going to be in this list here. And I think it's going to be like output name. So let's just jump down to O. Output directory, output path, output type. We could just do, because somewhere in here it knows to put exe on the end of the name, and I'd rather use the built-in variable rather than me just tacking it in. Especially since it knows. If I don't see it here in a second, I'm just going to search it by name. Because it has all of the key variables that I'm looking for. Yes, JC, thank you. No, I don't think you were here when I called it out, but yes. I think you were actually the first one to message me about my mistake, but I received several messages from people since last week pointing out that I can't spell and that made my life significantly more difficult than it needed to be last week. So the lesson was learned. Learn to spell. Let's just go here. So we know the name that we're looking for is autotyper.ui.exe. One of you guys in here is going to be the right variable. Let's see. Assign target paths. Let's see. Call target. Source items to output directory. So this takes an input and has an output here. That doesn't. That's something about there seems a little off, but maybe let's look at what this one actually does. This just does a copy, and it knows the source. So it's the outputs is target path. So it's actually just looking for target path as its reference. So let's just look at where target path gets set because that's where it's going. Show me target path. It was so frustrating to watch this stream, even being unable to call out the air. I know. I was not. I'm sure you could tell. I was not all there last week, and so it made it more difficult than it probably needed to be in some cases. And I do appreciate the call out. That's one of the perks of streaming your code is when you make a mistake, usually someone sees it. Usually. Other times no one sees it and then you go to bed frustrated. But the nice part is I was able to wake up to a nice correction of, oh, look at this. It's really easier than you thought. Because I was frustrated because I've done this before where I've debugged MS build tasks. I'm like, it's not this hard. It really isn't this hard. Feels like I do want this. But I don't know that that's what I want. Because the outputs here, because I can see the inputs here was apphost.exe, and then it renamed it. I usually can be seen driving my car shouting at the radio. Yep, that sounds about right. I oftentimes will turn on different streamers' videos as I'm driving, and there are times where I do have to pull over because it's like I have to look at it or shout something, and it's best to do that while not driving. Why is this? It's got to be up in the evaluation phase, not in the publish. So I want to collapse these down and look at the evaluation phase of this. Because there are multiple evaluation phases happening, and they should all contain the exact same information. What I am not seeing here is this target path gets specified. The DLL is what this one down. My head is blocking. This one down here is what's bothering me the most. Is I see target path being specified, but it's being specified down to the DLL, not the EXE, which means the actual publish step must be taking this value and repurposing it. And this is where I'm somewhat concerned because I'm worried that target path is getting reapplied in different areas and being pointed because target path is definitely being reused in multiple places. Yeah, so this one here, this assign targets path, takes the none and does assign files. And so it creates this set called none with target path. The other thing that I'm keen in on is the fact that there's an underscore in front of this name, which inside of MS Build is usually nomenclature for treat this as private. Not to say you can't use it, it's just it may change on you, and I'm a little hesitant to build something expecting that. But I am also noticing that this takes this in and then generates the relevant output files um, based upon the none. Because this file set comes in. Assign target path depends on. Because I can make my step depend on this. Like, that's not a big issue. Because it comes in, it's got these 4 files that it's found and says, okay, here's the important stuff. Which could be done. I'm just surprised that that would be it. Yeah, it just feels like that is incorrect. Okay, let's go back and look at where it gets set again. Let's see. Typer UI.exe. You are being specified somewhere. Don't like those. Don't like that. Don't like that. What is this run command? I don't know the usages of run command, and that does not feel like what I am looking for. Let's see. Target path, target path, target path. Add items. Clear file rights. Files under path. Because I'm looking at these various sets that it's calling add item on. Is there not a way to make the font on this bigger for people? Does not look like it. Note to self, this is an open source project. I should go submit a PR that allows for font size increase. That feels like a thing that needs to happen. Let's see here. Add items, source items, copy, I'll publish, target outputs. Hello, Robert. Yes, it is a Thanksgiving WPF. Hopefully you had a lovely Thanksgiving. It is absolutely what I am doing. These are the outputs of get copy to publish directory items. But really all I'm the problem is I don't want a set. I want a thingy. But maybe a set is the best I'm going to get. Because that might be the easiest way to do this. I suppose I could always hunt for if win.exe add on the appropriate extension. Yeah, it does increase that font size. I would, Robert. This one doesn't support it. That's my problem. I have no make font bigger button. I guess I have my zoom. I can go that route. Just makes my life a little more difficult when I have to operate in completely zoomed mode. That's copy resolve files to publish always. Yeah. Get publish item output group. Yeah, sure. Like none of these look like what I want. Okay, let's new strategy. Win.exe. Let's look at where the output type is referenced. Because I have a strange feeling that that's file classifier. This looks like a thing that might be helpful. Where are you? There we are. Source files. Move you over. Ooh. That's not quite what we're after. Because that looks like it's going to be classifying the, main embedded files. Yeah, that's not helpful. We are trying to hunt for how to know what the appropriate output directory or output file is from an assembly. Because assembly name is giving us the output name without the .exe on the end. And so I'm trying to hunt where in MS Build land we figure out that that is what it's supposed to be. Because there's plenty of these items where, and this is what's frustrating me, is the app host is what exists inside of the OBJ, right? So that guy there, and then magically it comes out as the exe, but it is not clear to me how we get from point A to point B. Because as far as I can tell, all we're doing is iterating over the set of files and building those out. Actually, maybe that's the answer. Because this is my issue: is it's a set of files that it's building out, and I want to know what the exe one is. And because there's more than one, I can't just like grab the set. But this is assign target paths. It's grabbing the set of none. And it's going to assign, no, because this is none with target path. So it's these ones here that are being built out. Pass parameter. I'm just wondering if there's a cleaner way I can grab exactly which one of these things it is. Because this is not giving me where I want to go. And I kind of wonder if the solution is checking the output type against WinExe and then just tacking it in. That might be the path of least resistance. Because if I hunt output type, output type. Um, output type WinExe, output type. Is that really all of them? That's it. One of these has to be used for knowing when to rename this sucker. So I don't care about this project. I do care about that one. The restore isn't likely to be the target that I care about. Eval on emulator doesn't matter. Eval on emulator doesn't matter. Yeah, so this is the micro. Let's try that again. MS Build structured log viewer. If you go into winget search MS Build, I believe it's the first hit. Yeah, it's this latter one down here. So you got to do let me do it one more time. So this is the winget winget name. Which it's absolute gold for everything MS Build. Like, just to be clear, you want to know what's going on inside of your build process, this guy has all the data. And I will also point out up here, there is this syntax search that will get you into all of the docs for some very advanced searching things. So you can hunt like where a property is set, where an item is added, or otherwise. So there's a lot of like, I do boneheaded searching, right? Where I just type in string and say, find me string. But you can actually dial it down much tighter to exactly what thing you're hunting for. The problem is I don't know what thing I'm hunting for. I don't know where it goes. Um let me ask, actually, while we're in here, hey Copilot. Um, not there. Let me just out of the way here. What is the MS Build property to get the published exe file path? For those of us who need to work in air gap mouse wheels. Oh, I think there is actually. I think there is. If I go back here, because it pops, so I think you can just pull it straight off the releases page on the GitHub. So here's the GitHub. And I believe the releases page has artifacts on it. Yeah. So hit the GitHub release page and just grab the latest release and look at the assets. You will note something. There's something very key about this thing. Something that intrigued me immediately. This releases file. This is a squirrel-based installer. And a great part of me really, 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 really wants to submit a PR switching it over to Velopack. Really, really want to. So, but we'll see. Most people, and rightfully so, unless they're having problems with their installers, don't want to change. Because it's a change that might introduce risk. And so unless there is a compelling gain, nobody does it. Do it on stream. I'm tempted. I am tempted. So I will say this. If anyone is out there who has a repository where you are interested in using Velopack for your app and you would like to see me do it on stream, just shoot me a message over on Discord. Right? I am happy to send PRs to repos that want to use Velopack as your installer. I just don't want to do it like cold calling. Like, that's the thing, is most maintainers really appreciate when people submit stuff, but getting like massive architecture change things without like a discussion first is generally bad form. So but again, I will say this: if anybody has a repo where you are wanting to use Velopack to ship your application, shoot me a link to the repo. Happy to send a PR of saying, hey, here's how you do it. Because the answer is, it's not that hard. It's really not that much work, right? So if you want to do it yourself to see it, great. If you want to see me do it on stream, happy to do it. Just shoot me a message and we will go through and do one. Because hopefully this autotyper one, you're going to see a demo of me doing the build package with it, because it's going to be my test app. It's going to be my test app. Let's see. Did the Kraken come? Target file name. Okay. Let's see if you're right. See, target file name is better, but that comes back with DLL. Let's see. Assembly name without the extension. Want to get the output exe name, not so let's see. Similar to target file name. Need to just check the output type. I have to believe, because the exes generated from .NET. You can check. Yeah, because this is what I think this is what I'm afraid I'm going to end up doing. I think this is which defaults to assembly name. This is the assembly name without the extensions, which is cross-platform friendly. No exe on Linux and Mac. Agreed. Which is why I was hoping that there was an MS Build property that populated properly on Linux and Mac. Target file name handles this automatically based on the project's output type. That is a bold-faced lie. This is when I look at Target. Actually, you know what? Crazy idea. Crazy idea. MS build MCP. Has anybody given me an MCP that can read these bin log files? Let's see. For automated and solution builds, provides customizable build options. Doesn't look quite what I'm after. Hello. Hello. I recognize this GitHub ID. Hello, Chet. Hello. So, yeah, we trust Chet. Chet works for Microsoft. He does .NET stuff. Chet's an expert in MS Build. This is a sample demo that exposes tools and prompts for analyzing bin logs to any MCP server. Hoorah! Hoorah! This looks, yeah, okay, 1 star. Chet, what have you done? What lovely thing have you done? Now he's built this up, and it looks like I have to compile it myself, though. Oh, Chet, you have done something amazing. You have done something very, very amazing for me. If you have Claude configured already, you can tell VS Code to use the same settings by adding the following. There we go. MS build MCP. Oh, this looks interesting. Let's see, GC. Phone assist from file share to GitHub, but then you started doing this, and I thought I would wait. Okay. So there's 2 things. You may not want to wait for this change. But you, let's see, from file share to GitHub. Was this because I've looked at this project before. VPK download. Pulls down from local path. Pushes up here. No portable. Upload local. So this one may or may not help you that much. And I say that somewhat hesitantly because it would do the package portion for you, but the push it's not going to help you with. Because the push state is going to be pushing to Velopack flow, not to any of the other upload sources. So what it would end up doing, and just to be clear, the Velopack.build project won't help you that much. The Velopack one will, but like this one here, I think all you end up changing is these two commands here, right? So it's just so the download is going to be VPK download GitHub, and then we have to pass the parameters for the GitHub one. And then same with the upload. And the only thing that's going to get weird, are you using GitHub Actions for this right now? Or are you just running these commands locally? Got Actions. Look in here. Let's look in here. Or I guess actually I want to look at the code for the action. Let's back up. Pendabots, CI. Nice and clean. Your Dependabot will probably rev this one on you shortly. I believe checkout rev to version 5 this week, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because this is one of the things I've started doing is I've started putting together a workflow that's manual trigger, so workflow dispatch, where I specify the version number and then it does the build and pushes up with that version number. Um, but if you're interested, would you like to see an implementation of that? Because I'd happily go through and give you a pull request if you are interested in seeing it. It may not be, it may be a little underwhelming since you have this, but yeah, cool. I see. Yes, let's a fork. Oh, fork already exists. Oh, apparently I've forked this once already. So let's just go here. Let's go here. Clone. Apparently I've got it already. Great. Clone repo. Open repo. Then I just want to sync up with yours real quick. So I'm going to add in your remote because I have a feeling my main is way behind your main. So we're just going to get my main up here. Okay. And then we'll go, let's see, Velopack update. And then we'll somewhat do this in VS Code. This is going to be, I think, a bit of pipeline work. And so we're going to go, not there, there. You can rename this however you want, but we'll do something like publish.yaml. And then let me grab, I believe I have a sample that I want to go find real quick because it's not plagiarism if you take it from yourself. Repository before I grab it. Let's see here. That is not the one I'm looking for. That one is probably dead. Okay, so if you're interested, this is where I am going to be blatantly stealing from, which is another one of my WPF repositories. But the key thing here is the workflow dispatch. And I think we are going to do, we're going to go here. Oh, shut up. Missing jobs. Yeah, I know it's missing. I haven't implemented it yet. So we're going to not do there. We're going to do something like that. Then we're going to come down here. And again, you could collapse all of these into one. And maybe it's easier if we collapse it into one. Yeah, let's collapse it into one. I think that actually works just as easy. Then you don't have to fight with two. Because if you don't collapse it into one, you end up duplicating your runs in here. Let's see here. Pendabot also updating. Oh, yeah. Let me give you a little bump here too while I'm here. I'm already in and looking at this. Let me grab. Oh, I want to steal a little bit of code from my templates repo as well. So I want to go into my WPF one because in general, on your Dependabot, you probably want this as well. Because this will cause your Dependabot to also update the GitHub actions in addition to just your NuGet packages. I guess I can leave that there. It matches the other one. That way, as things like your checkout and otherwise get updated. So we'll give you that. We'll delete the publish. And that'll get me to there. And then let's see here. So Windows latest test. And then let's go back to my other one that I'm blatantly stealing from. So we want to end up doing, because this doesn't have the publish on here. So I assume publish. And I Yes, it depends here. Uh, and Roy Paul, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay, so let's keep going. We are just updating one of JC's projects to using the latest Velopack. You can delete new release 1. I now just use publish PS1. Oh, okay. Delete. What's that? Let's just look at this. Let's just look and see what's in here. Let's see. So you rip through the CS proj, pull out the version, which makes sense, where object not equal to null. Clean up previous builds. .NET publish. Because this is the part that the other one will end up going. So this is part of what we want up here. So this is the step that we want to put right here. That way that runs. Though there is, you should be fine. You're running on Windows latest. I oftentimes will go one step further, and again, I'm gonna put this in, and you can choose to reject it if you want to get rid of it. Oftentimes inside of my actions, I will go as far as to be explicit about my shell run and just default it to PowerShell. Now, this is not needed because you are going to get PowerShell by default on a Windows runner. But if you don't specify this and then you do some commands that are on a non-Windows runner, you don't get PowerShell. And so these run commands are very dependent upon what your default shell is. So I oftentimes will try to be explicit about which shell I want. That way, if I end up on a different one, it doesn't bite me. Okay, so this should handle all of that. I'm going to indent that a little bit so it's clear where that goes. Okay. That'll get the publish doing the same as your other script. Let's see, build complete. You also have a CLI in here. Pack build and then reconcile. So we're building multiple projects inside of here. Let's see, summary, write host, output directory, and then if pack. Let's see, clean out previous releases, and then you download the latest. Let me check one thing. I don't know that you need to... I'm trying to remember if something in the back of my mind is telling me that pack can pull the latest. I might be making that up. Let's see, commands, packaging. I want the pack command runner, which is going to be here, Windows pack command runner. Preprocess actor, click once manifest, options. There is, I want to say that it will grab latest for you. Look at one other project where I know I'm doing this. I think it's open source as well. I just need to double check whether I open sourced it or not. I did. Look at me go. Look at me go. So here's another one in case you want. So just to be clear, this app here is a very purpose-built, very targeted application for one specific use case. It is not a generalized application. That said, it has code. And this guy here follows the same pattern because I don't believe you need to hold down on the, I don't think you need to pull the latest on a pack. I believe it'll implicitly do it for you. But now you're making me question what I think I know. So I want to grab the logs of one of my runs. NuGet. Bump. Where is my running Copilot? There is a. I want to find where I actually triggered the release. Screw it. I'll just push the release out and then. Yeah, there we go. Build and publish. Let's see. Package with Velopack. I think it actually. Oh, no, it skips. So it is not pulling it down. So I am ending up not grabbing my Delta releases. Interesting. I thought I fixed that. Oh, I guess my sample script is wrong and I need to adjust. Just want to check. I just want to check and see and confirm that it is in fact not uploading deltas. Yeah, because it doesn't show the presence of deltas. Okay. I've got two things to fix. Regardless, we're going to then leave the download in place along with the pack and then the upload. Let's go here because I don't think I've done one with the GitHub command yet, so this will be good. Because I've been pushing everything up to Velopack flow. Let's see, name. Stop complaining. Okay. Oh, hush now. Hush now. Hush now, hush now, hush now. No. Just need you to indent. Like, what, why? Why do you not? There you go. Shut up. Okay, so, and we want download GitHub, and let me just check my commands. Oh, I guess I can do them right here. Let's see. So, recent enough. So I want BPK download GitHub. Grab it. But yeah, and I totally get that. Like that is going to be a consistent problem that we fight for a while. Like there's no way to build rep without time. Like that's kind of just the way things are going to go, and I don't know a good way to fix it because it is a very valid concern. Now, I don't think it's like I'm not concerned, but you know, I also have stake in it. So it's a lot easier for me to say that. Okay, so we are going to go here and we're going to get rid of path and we are going to change this out. And I think we can get, there is a, yeah, GitHub repository. And then I don't think we're going to worry because this is a public repo. So I don't believe the token's going to be needed. Oh, thank you. So that should get, I want to check the docs on this because I don't know that this is actually the URL. I think this is just owner, GitHub action context. Let's just double check because it's the GitHub context and I want the, because it suggested repository, but I don't think that that's correct. Yeah, the owner and repository name. I want repository URL. Let's see. This is the Git URL. Not quite what I want. URL of the GitHub server. Also not quite what I want. I want the actual. Don't make me build it. Come on, GitHub. There's got to be an answer in here somewhere. One of these should have the full thing, right? Right? It's kind of annoying. Kind of annoying. They're going to make me build it myself. I mean, I guess I've got enough information to do it here. So we can do this. Okay, so we're just gonna build it ourselves. Let's see here. So we're gonna go. I'm just gonna quote it because I don't trust myself to not botch this. Let's see, GitHub. Oh, I double GitHubbed it. Server URL / GitHub repository, which will contain everything in it. GitHub.com according to your docs. Yeah, I may go and change it just because the GitHub server URL is a thing. I suspect this only exists for like GitHub Enterprise, and the VPK command relies on I forget the GitHub SDK, which I don't think supports anything other than GitHub.com. But you know, we'll just do it that way, just for fun. Okay, and then this is going to be pack up here. That should all match exactly what you have. Upload GitHub, and then just want to come down here. Put myself on the right so I'm not flirting with my terminal output. Okay. So I think you already have. No, you don't have output directory. And I assume based on this, you aren't doing anything fancy with channels. It's just directly out, because before you were just going straight to a single path. Which is fine. So I'm confused why this says required and then also there's a default. I don't know that that's actually required. I think that's a mistake because it will fill in the default if there's one there. I know why it's printing out is because we've probably set required and default on there, and that's probably not right. VA Seek, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Do you want this into a pre-release or a regular release when this publishes? Effectively, the question being, do you want to have to go and click a button on GitHub after this release is created to turn it live or not? Some people go either way. And I think we're going to put this -- merge because no button. Okay, so we're just going to send it. That should. So I personally like the -- merge on there just because if anything goes wrong and you requeue, it so on one hand, it will merge with existing releases if you do things like you duplicate the same release twice, right? And you want to push up a new version, right? It'll allow those things to go together and replace artifacts. It also lets you requeue runs, which I personally like a little bit. And then I personally think that specifying a release is worthwhile, and you've already got the version there. So I'm going to propose something like, that. And I realize -- or $ version isn't defined. We'll come back to that in a moment because I think we actually are going to have it. And I guess this is a question. You like the idea of checking in the version on your CS proj, right? And then manually clicking your CI button to run, because I can get rid of these inputs. I was having the version come in as a variable when you manually queue the workflow run, but you were setting it there. Okay, so we'll kill this. We won't have an input there. And instead, what we'll do is we will just pull out. I think what I want to do is I want to grab one of these things here has a condition on the release. Yeah, I want to grab this. So we're going to condition a bunch of this stuff in here is, like we don't want to run this unless we're on a workflow dispatch. So the trigger will be the execution of this. Okay, so that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. We might do a task to go and extract the version to pull that out. I don't think we need to specify anything else. I am also now realizing that we could probably make this even easier for GitHub repos because we could do the same thing that like the source link does and look up the repo from your Git directory. And if the repo in your Git directory is a GitHub repo, just pre-populate this. That would actually be pretty slick. Not a big deal to do, but that's definitely something we haven't done yet. Let's see. So we are going to, because you wanted publish, not draft. Right? So feel free, again, I'm just going to open a PR with this, and you can take it or leave it as you see fit, or tweak accordingly. And then if you want to tag the release at all, I'm going to propose that if we have the version, you probably want to tag it with the version. Again, I'm going to do that for a moment. Okay, and then that'll be good, I think. Okay, so that all goes like that. And now we just really need to pull out the extract version bit from your script. You've already done the hard, like you've done most of the hard work for me already. Up here. See here. I want to just grab this functionally. We're going to come over here. Just slap that in there. And I'm going to delete the writing of the project file. But now $version exists. And I can leverage it. And then that will pull that through. And then that was the only thing I needed on the download, right? Yeah, it should be fine. Pulls all those through. Yeah. I think that just works. Why are you still red? Still unhappy about the other one? Yeah, so the only thing to watch for will be if something doesn't go the way you want, just be aware that you might have to go through and whack GitHub releases or similar with this merge tag on here. I think that's it. I think that's all you need. You've already done the hard work in here, right? Because there's your Velopack build. So you've got, what is it, Serialog in here? Yeah. You've got Serialog set up to run, Velopack running immediately afterwards. Standard async main stuff. I assume you made this from my repo template because some of this looks remarkably similar. Or maybe it's because I've looked at this once before. Okay. I think that's it. And then you have the ICD, and so whenever you want to kick a release, you just workflow dispatch this CI one, and as long as you click the button, this thing's gonna run. Yeah, send it. Okay. We're going here. Let's see. So we did that thing here. Izzy, no such thing as silly questions. Ask away. and then we whack that. So there, my big head out of the way. Auto code button. Let's see. Do you know if GitHub can fork a repo from another Git public server? Not with the. So I'm going to word this carefully. Not with like the fork button in GitHub. No. However, because Git repositories. Here, let me push this real quick and then I'll continue. Let's see. Push and start a pull request to yours. And then autogen the thing. And this is probably good, but I usually like the PR description better. Yeah, create pull request. Yeah, yeah, 2 mouse tail, 4 mouse tail. That's basically it. It's because Git commits themselves, like these commit hashes are based upon the contents of this. You can always clone from any you can always clone from any Git server and then push to any Git server, and effectively have it. Like that's how a lot of companies, even like Microsoft, there are some repositories that even though there's an open source clone that's sitting out in GitHub, you'll oftentimes see some synchronization between that front-facing clone and some private Git server where the team's working, happening, because for whatever reason, maybe that server has extra stuff or whatever, right? They've got teams to manage their tooling. They've got some fancy stuff. But they can always go back and forth between those two because like the Mousetail said above, like it's inherently decentralized, so there isn't necessarily a server client. There's just Git hosts, and you can push pull from them kind of willy nilly. Like one of the wacky things you can do is you can actually set up remotes so that they point at very different repositories and get yourself all over the place, right? Yeah, or exactly there. Like what Mousetail points out is that there could be a private server running Mercurial or Bazaar, uh, and sync things back and forth. So there is a number of different things. Um, yeah, hoping to convince. Yeah, I know you've got some wacky extra security stuff that ends up going through as well. But yeah, so in theory, you can always push pull, and honestly, like the number of times we've done that for various simplistic migrations, right? Like because we do at my work, we do a lot of migrations between like DevOps and GitHub and similar, which the bonehead simple way of doing it is you clone the repo and you push the repo. Now, if you're actually doing legit migrations at an enterprise level, don't do that. There's some tooling out there that can go significantly faster, but the basic premise is the same, right? Like there's some fancy copy stuff where you don't have to do the full clone push stuff that can make it for people who are moving lots of repos, especially big repos, it can save significant time. But the simplest migration is clone push, done. Like the hard stuff comes elsewhere. But yeah. Okay. So there's that guy out there. JC, feel free to do with it what you like. If it doesn't work the way you're expecting, ping me and let me know. I apparently need to go fix mine to do the Delta releases properly because I am not doing them properly in my setup, and I should fix that. But I may end up fixing that as part of this build package bit. I'm going to close this down, and I think what we are landing on here is hating the fact that I don't have a good way of grabbing just the output. Let's see. Is it possible to have an action trigger a rebase on my remote when the other remote changes? Not what. So that kind of requires you to have something on that other remote and where that other remote is hosted. Like GitHub has a lot of webhooks available for integration stuff. Even things that power like the GitHub Actions and similar, they can trigger on lots of different events. But there's not an easy way for it to know when the other remote changes without you building something. Now, the easiest thing you could do is that you could set up an action on the GitHub side that's just on a cron job that checks the remote for changes. Yeah, exactly what Mousetail is saying, right? You can run on a timer and see if there's a change on the other one, but there's depending on where that other remote is hosted, you would need either that other remote would have to expose some sort of eventing to you via a webhook or similar. If it does, like there are GitHub APIs where you could take that remote webhook and feed it into the GitHub to say, hey, by the way, I need you to go do this thing. Right? That's a possibility. Sort of like a nightly rebase. Yeah, it could easily be that, right? It's basically set up on a cron job, so you get to pick the schedule. And effectively pull stuff in. Like that is definitely one way to do it. Depending on where that remote repo is, I would potentially tell you to look at what that hosting provider offers in terms of notifications, right? Because if it has some sort of pipelining integration or GitHub action type stuff already tied to it, often the simplest thing to do is when a push happens on that other Git repo, have its CI call into GitHub to say, hey, by the way, I've updated, right? That way you've effectively done rather than pulling back. That's my next job then, as I need to apply my patches on top of their changes. Yeah. Let me go and look. I might have a cool repo for you. Got the repo a colleague was working on, and I want to see if it's open source. Don't know if it is the only reason I'm hedging, so I'm let's see. Oh, I don't see it. Don't see it. I'll look real quick, and if it doesn't come up right away on my search, I'm gonna give up. Because it should be. I don't see it. I might have to go poking. I don't think it's been. So the intent was for my colleague to eventually open source it, but I don't know if it is yet. But there is a cool git command. So if you are trying to apply your stuff on top of it, there is a command that is worth knowing about. There is the three-way merge is worthwhile looking into because it gives you an option. Doesn't feel like what I was looking for. Because it is very useful for when you've got a set of changes. I think you mean, oh, that might be it. You might be right on point, Mousetail. All right, I'm just grabbing it on a separate browser. But that is, yeah, this looks, my colleague was showing it to me, and it is basically perfect for, yeah, resolve it for you automatically. Yeah, this wasn't, I don't believe this was the command he used. I thought it was inside of merge, and I thought it was three-way something or another. Because there was a three-way merge option that made his life significantly easier when he was bringing it in, because the idea was we were forking off of a public repository, and then we had our own changes that we wanted to apply, but then we were rebasing in their changes on a nightly process. And so very similar to kind of what you were describing, where you've got some set of changes, a moving base, and you want to automatically reapply them on top of them. I'm looking to see. Let's see. There's this blog here. I think this was actually the one that he used. But where's the bloody command? I want to say it was something like git merge dash dash three way or something of that um or something of that nature, and I do not understand why it's not here. But here, I'll just drop these links here. I would tell you to go hunting on these, because these are probably exactly what you are, probably save you a lot of effort. Because that is the really hard part when you've got two repositories moving and you've got to keep them in sync, unless there's some way to coordinate or know about it. Like if these two things are running completely independent teams doing different stuff, life can get hard fast. But with that said, it doesn't have to be. Okay, so I think we were going to do this maneuver. I think this will fix part of our problem. So we're going to go up here, and we are going to go down here. We are going to do this. Velopack entry executable. That was the name of our thing, right? Executable name. I think what I wanted to do was this, and change this guy out here. And then I want to get rid of this guy here. And I want to do, let's see. This is so close, but so far away, Copilot. You were so helpful. And then I realized I didn't give you enough context, but let's see. And yeah, you're now on my way, Copilot. Let's see. Just a shame the repo tool doesn't seem to allow adding patches to repos. It clones on sync. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people build tooling, even some of the Microsoft tooling on system command line. For a while, what was being done is I'm trying to remember the exact use case. There was a number of repositories, because they have rules about supply chain and being able to compile from source and being able to assert that hashes match all the way across. There was a set of patch files and tooling that would just it wasn't complicated tooling. It was like if I remember right, a PowerShell script or an MS build command or similar, but it just ripped through the patch files, and the patch files were named so that the date was in them, so sortable date format, so that they would execute in a deterministic order. And it literally just applied patches to the files. It was great until it wasn't. Like it's a nice, easy way to apply changes, but patch files kind of inherently have an assumption that the thing that they're targeting is going to work and make sense, and that's not always the case. So that was exciting. Okay, so we are going to do that. There's always an overload there, but that will now get .exe on the end when needed for the output type. Okay, so we're going to come in here. We're going to go here. We are going to rebuild our build project. get a new NuGet package. We are going to come over to here. We're going to back out. We are going to torch our NuGet cache so that it's gone. We're going to clear this, and then once that other one finishes, let's see. I've always used git format patch to create mine, always in order. Then, yeah, that'll absolutely work as well. I was gonna say I don't use patch files a ton, but I do like Kraken's cloud patch system. I definitely use in code reviews when I want to send things to my team. Like, hey, I want you to make this change, but by the way, the change is outside of where your diff is. Yeah, Mousetail, I'll let Izzy reply. My assumption, and I realize this is an assumption I made, is that it's not submitting patches. It's syncing up with the base and then using patch files to reflect your changes that you want to make to the base after you've done so. Again, complete assumption. Izzy, you can correct us if I'm wrong. Okay. So we are launching. We are debugging. We are back in Visual Studio. We will step up. We will step over. We're going to take a quick look at the args to make sure that we have what we expect. Okay, so main exe now is pointed where we expect. Authors and title and whatnot are kind of a little janky, but it at least matches what we expect to see. Get me out of zoom mode because that is blatantly hard to see. And then let's run down to exit code, where it'll think for a moment. Exit code -1. That's annoying. Error message 0. That's interesting. Let's see, what was the VPK tool exited with code -1 with no output? Really? Yeah, the repo owner won't accept my patches without proof would be useful. Yeah. And I think and that is one of the hardest things, I think, is people always want extra customizations. Like this happens on the material design project quite a bit, is there are people who want certain customizations to the controls, but I will often push back on just merging them because they do it. Like there is an argument to be made that it adds a maintenance cost to the maintainer. Just so there is some justification there, though. Again, it goes back and forth of what is actually the most helpful. Ah, got it. GitHub fork so I can show how useful and non-breaking the changes are. Okay, that is totally fair. And honestly, I think that's one of the ways to go through and do it, of to see how well things stay in sync. And that is one of the hardest parts because like this happens with a lot of open source projects, specifically when they don't get maintained. People will fork them, and then oftentimes whichever fork gets popular, that's which one people will gravitate towards and or get merged back in. That's actually ironically how I took over the AutoMocker library, is way back when .NET Core was first introduced. And the AutoMocker library, the author had kind of disappeared. And a colleague of mine, we had opened up a bunch of pull requests adding .NET Core support to AutoMocker. And we obviously had our own forks, so we were just running off of those. But I think it was, I don't know, like 6-9 months, and we hadn't heard anything, like zero feedback. We thought the author had just abandoned the project. So we said, well, if we're not going to get our pull request merged, we took our forks, or fork, I guess, because we both worked off the same one. We changed the NuGet ID, and we just published a new NuGet package under a new ID because we're like, our stuff isn't getting merged in, and we need .NET Core support. And then as soon as our package started getting download numbers, the author then reached out to us. So it was like, hey, sorry, I don't really have a lot of time to maintain this. Do you guys just want contributor access to the main repository? We're like, oh, sure, that'll work. So we got full access to the main repository, merged our PRs, and then rock and roll. Um, but would be useful if it was native. Yeah, yeah, completely agree. Like, and that is, like I said, it is a hard thing because it is a bit of a judgment call. But like you said, if you can show the usefulness of it, probably worth it. Um, my exe failed with an exit code -1 and no output, and that just makes me sad because now I want to look and see, do I have a -1 anywhere in my output? I don't think I intentionally output. I don't think I intentionally output a -1 anywhere. Like we check for a -1. That's just update. Those are just binary stream bits. Yeah, I don't think I ever output a -1 as an exit code intentionally. I don't think I do. Let's see. Move myself to. Uh, yeah, I code in Rust a lot, but Cargo is such a frustrating graveyard of abandoned libraries. Perfect for my use case, except just a few too many critical bugs. Yeah, yeah, and I think there is a lot of discussion. Oh, wait a minute. I do have exit code -1 in these. Look at that. But we shouldn't ever get this without a fatal log. So I'm dropping output is what I'm seeing. I think the abandoned library problem and the open source problem is like it is a major issue that I don't know that anyone's fully cracked the nut on. Right? And so slightly unpopular opinion. A lot of open source maintainers and a lot of people who talk about projects getting abandoned, maintainer burnout, all of those problems often focus, in my opinion, slightly too heavily on the compensation side of the equation, going, well, if these maintainers would just be compensated for their work, they would maintain the projects more. And I think there's truth to that, but I don't know that that is 100% the case, right? Like there are plenty of people who've tried to crack that nut of getting of making it so that open source can actually be a source of income, and people who really have a passion for these projects can now afford to actually either work part-time or quit their main job to focus on this because the open source work is generating enough income. And I think that's possible, but I also think that that isn't going to actually fully solve the problem because some people don't like that's not what they want to do, right? Like it's kind of the difference between being in business for yourself and working for a company, right? When you're in business for yourself, you're your own boss, you can set your own hours, you can do all of this stuff, but you're your own boss and you have to take on all of the extra stuff that goes with that, whether that be little bits of accounting, making sure you set up your projects so you're interfacing with customers, all that stuff. And that's kind of what it's like when you say an open source maintainer just needs to be compensated more. They're effectively going into business for themselves and they take on a bunch of additional roles beyond just the development. So, slightly unpopular opinion, I don't know that just compensating them solves that because you still need the engineers willing to take on all those additional roles. Now, maybe they're willing to for the right compensation and they're happy to do so, but I don't think that applies to all engineers. And I think that you still, even if we had solved the problem and open source projects had a good way of the maintainers getting appropriately compensated and all of that, don't know that you get the problem completely handled because I think a lot of engineers don't want those additional jobs. They don't want to deal with backlogs and a bunch of people and open source communities and shoveling feedback. I think they don't want any of that. So kind of more the equivalent of a developer working for a company. They just want to go in and do their job. The company has the project managers and the QA and all of that stuff, and they just want to focus on what they're building and build a good product, right? So I think the funding is definitely a big problem. Get me wrong. I think it is absolutely a big problem, potentially the biggest chunk of the problem, but I don't think it's the whole problem. So, not to say we shouldn't be working on doing it. I just think that people have this pie in the sky idea that if we solve it, it will make all of the problems go away. It's like, it'll make some of them go away for sure. I don't know if it'll solve all of them. No, hop off a soapbox. Yeah, mouse tail. Like I said, somewhat unpopular opinion because I've talked to a handful of maintainers who have very different opinions. They're like, of course, if I was compensated, I would love to do this. I just can't afford to quit my job and do this. I don't have enough hours in the day. Right? Like I agree. Okay, so sorry. Lost my train of thought there. Uh pack task, I'm dropping output in my console runner when we actually execute this. So the fact that we got an exit code 1, um I would have expected my output to always dump the data, but what we saw is we did not get any data published. So what we are going to do, kind of want to just grab this command here. I can just run this command. Make sure I'm not missing any parts of this. Missed a T on the end of that. Okay, so let's run this and see if I'm... Ahaha. So why did I not see this output? Well, that's one problem, is we aren't getting the output. And I think I know what's going on. We use Spectre to draw some pretty output files, and I'm willing to bet I'm just not picking up whatever is being rendered out here. We redirect both of the outputs. Begin output. Oh, I wonder, is this the... it's, what is it? Process. There is a... I vaguely recall needing to flush the output before quitting, and I wonder if that's my problem, is it's not completely flushed. Regardless, I'm not going to stress about that currently. I'm more interested in why this thing wouldn't find it. So this guy is executed. Is he in the right directory? The release directory is here. So let's check and make sure that he actually got the right release directory. I don't know that that's right, and it could be... Okay, so it's not finding update.exe in the releases directory because the releases directory is completely empty. That'll do it. But we're building the release. That's the output directory. Is this directory empty? And does this directory contain update.exe? Maybe that's the next question. So we'll just working our way back upwards up the food chain. Okay, so there's the publish. But there isn't any... None of the usual Velopack stuff is in here. Which is mildly concerning because it expects to have all of them. Okay. That's assuredly the problem, is we aren't actually getting the relevant bits all the way through. I thought we had fixed the package dependency problem. Let me just check here. Because I thought when we changed it to reference Velopack, yeah, so it's technically referenced twice. It's referenced at the top level and then it's referenced as a dependency. And I believe now we should be able to do this and drop it because the long-term goal is to not need it in both places. Okay, so that's fine. So not shocking. The transitive dependency works just fine. Um, let's check and see if NuGet.versioning. Oh, that is required. So that is there, but when we build this, it's not actually. What's the call stack on this? Package builder, which preprocess packter. So it's expecting to be able to find. Oh, search paths is empty. Oh, why is search paths empty? Are we not specifying? Um, let's go. Let's go hunting here real quick. So how do you know where to look? Search paths is there. So app context base directory vendor. No. How? Why would it? I'm confused why this would be hunting there. But I guess I'm less confused because we're in a debug case. But the debug case is the release case with extra stuff. And given that this is using the base directory, my strong inclination is that I am in the wrong target directory. But this is coming from the VPK. So is the VPK bundled? So hang on. So we're here, right? Wait, this just doesn't have any. Huh? Why doesn't this have any of the Velopack stuff? Shouldn't this? Am I stupid? Where is it? Oh, this is underneath tools. Oh, I think I've stymied myself with the way that I've set up my package here because this is expecting to find the update exe alongside. Oh, okay, but that should be okay because there should be. And if I go in here and I grab this one, lib, like this has all of these. And what's really biting me is the fact that the global tool, EPK-EXE, is expected to have nope, that's not what I wanted. Don't double click. Open path. Is this guy here? This is the hold on, that's the shortcut. Where is the actual publishing? There's a It's not here. There's a when you install a global tool, it goes to that directory, but where is it? But it's ultimately pointed to something behind the scenes. Ba, ba, ba. don't see what I'm expecting, which is a VPK in some sort of .NET. That's ours. .NET Tool Store. Yeah, this thing. What I'm expecting to see. Oh, so VPK expects to be able to go up from its current directory, find a vendor directory, and inside the vendor directory expects to find this. But inside of our vendor directory that we have built in our NuGet package, our vendor directory does not look like that. Our vendor directory. Where did it go? No, this isn't. Why am I? The release. Because this is the actual VPK, correct vendor directory. Did I close mine up? Is that the problem? Packages, Velopack build. Right? So in my vendor directory, I have this. Just real quick, we can immediately see those are not the same things. I turn off details pane. Show. Yeah, whatever. That'll work. So the issue is when we build up the VPK tool, we are adding stuff in that is not being put into ours. Just thinking here how I want to accomplish this. Because there is some complicated bits in how we build this up, because these update executables are actually compiled on different runners as part of the pipeline. And that is what we are missing in our build portion of this. So down here, because we are just going after net8 publish, and we are targeting our own build directory. Right, so we are going after build, in this case, debug net8 publish. Let's see, build debug net8 publish, and which is fine, but it means we are not picking up the appropriate vendor directory. Where do we get our vendor directory from? Side of here. Like ours clearly has a vendor directory, but where do I populate that from? That's underneath tools. That's underneath build. Where's my vendor population from? Where's that coming from? In one of these? One of these guys has a vendor. Add NuGet vendor libs. That'll do it. Hack Rust assets. Yeah, these are what we are missing. Velopack pack vendor libs. We need this set to true, and pack Rust asset set to true is what we're looking for. That's what's missing. We are not packing in the Rust assets. That should go a long way. That should get more into our NuGet package. And let's see, that's the VPK one. We're going to keep that. No problem, JC. Like I said, let me know how that pipeline works for you, and have fun. If there's anything that goes wrong, obviously reach out and let me know. Because like I said, I am happy if people are interested in using Velopack on one of your projects. I am very happy to help make that a success. Okay. New NuGet package built. Cache is emptied. Then we're going to run this, because this should now trigger the restore, which should pull in the new package. And then I've got the debugger popped over on the side. I just want to see if I see everything in here. I do. So I'm going to just let it roll. I cancel the debugger. Still failed, but the nice part is I do see inside of our NuGet package, I do now see update exe and all of these things existing. So in theory, that should work. So I should be able to go up here and rerun this. Just see, could not find update exe. I guess I still have the issue of search paths are empty. That's a problem. I guess the question is, where is helper file getting these things from? Find helper file, update exe. So this guy here should be, like, there should be add search paths invoked at least 3 times. And I just want to find, I think when it does the find helper file, that's where we're getting the exception. Throw one not found. Helper file couldn't find. And then it does show iterating the search paths. And it shows that it should be iterating. So I'm curious as to how I can possibly get an empty string here. Because there's nothing written there. When this is from search paths, and there's a static constructor that's, I think, oh, look at that. Add search path. If path doesn't exist. Well. That will, so it's not that it's not calling add search path, it's that it is not finding add search path. Okay. Okay. I think we need an else block here. Do I don't have the ability to use a logger in here. I'm really curious why we do this exists here. I'm wondering if the solution is to not do the exists on the add, but on the iteration. Look at the usages. I guess clear search paths could be getting invoked, but there shows no usages of this. So, because that's really just there to support other people's integrations. I don't know that it's realistic that we ever use it. I am very tempted to remove this directory exists and move it down here so that it doesn't, so we can generate better output. I think I like that better. So we're going to always just insert. And then we're going to come down here to our search paths. Actually, let's do really, Copilot, you found new paren in other repositories? What a shock. One is stunned. Okay, so let's just iterate over these. Search path in search paths. Nope, we're not doing that garbage. We're gonna do if directory exists, add it. Else Um, I don't want to just keep guess I don't need to care about. Guess what I could do here is I can actually just not worry too much about it and just do it down here. So let's do append. And then down here, we're going to go append line. I think what I want to do is if directory exists path, we're going to go with msg append something like that. That way it's clear why it got skipped. And actually what we need to do here, we can just do search paths where we can actually come down here where let's just do in a string is null or empty. Feels worthless, but we'll do a where below this. That's where directory dot exists d. All right, so we'll just clean that up, remove unnecessary lambda, great. And then we don't have to change anything else. There. I think that's better. And then yeah, so then we'll just iterate out which one doesn't work. So let's rebuild this guy. We'll go torch our packages again. We're going to go here. Torch this guy out of here. And then that should give us a much better situation because I suspect what we're about to see is that none of the paths exist, and I'm willing to bet it's a relative pathing problem. Because I'm willing to bet that there is a difference in hierarchy between how we have packaged in VPK and how it is installed when it's done as a global tool. That is my hypothesis. Let's test it. I'm going to let this guy go just so he can kick off the restore. We're going to cancel it. It's probably still going to miss the output. At some point, we're going to chase that down. But we'll do this here. There we go. So helper file could not find update exe, and it's checking all of these directories. And ultimately, what I immediately see is this is one level too high up. Okay, so short version, the .wax are too high. They're all going up 3 levels. So let's go look at VPK. Because how does it get packaged? Why is it up so high? Tools, net, and so they have an extra any. There is an extra any up at the top. I could just nest it down an extra directory. It just feels so yucky about doing that. But that's the difference, is it's tools net8 any, whereas mine inside of build is tools net8 execution. If I went tools net8 any, they would match. Let's just make mine match, I think. I think that's probably the path of least resistance. So if I do net8 any, that fixes that problem, at least the relative pathing problem. We'll rebuild that. We'll once again go back and torch my Do, do, do. VPK. There it is. We'll delete that out. And now it at least should find it. Izzy, have a good one. You have a wonderful weekend as well. For me, it's a long holiday weekend. So tomorrow will be Christmas decorations throughout the house. As my wife told me, is after Thanksgiving, it is time for fall to go away and Christmas to come out. And for anybody interested, the .NET user group, I'll grab a link real quick. The talk with that next week is going to feature my Christmas squirrel. So if that sentence sounds weird to you, come to the talk to meet my Christmas squirrel. Because reasons. So, or if you're just interested in what's new in .NET. Both are good reasons to come to the talk. But obviously the Christmas squirrel is the cool one. Obviously. Okay, so there's the debugger. My window back. Okay, that failed out again. Not surprising because, well, I guess it is kind of surprising. VPK tool not found at expected path. Oh, because now we've broken our VPK. Ah, dang it. Now we did that. At some point, and I'm going to leave myself a to-do. I don't like how it says that it's not needed. Get directory name is not nullable aware. Yeah, we're gonna leave that there. To do. We're gonna just do that because I should probably make this thing slightly more tolerant. Otherwise, the next time we package this, my world's going to end. I think the ideal situation is what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the build process write that string in since it knows where it's putting those files as part of the packaging. So I think I'm going to have MS Build probably write this method, but then make this generated based upon where it knows that it's going to put things. That way, inevitably, when like Net 8 falls out of support and we update it to a new version, right? We change it in one place and then it just goes everywhere. It's probably better. That would be my theory. Okay, so whack that guy, come back over here, rinse, repeat. .NET publish. This guy should now pull that in. Guess I didn't check to make sure that I had finished a build, but we'll know in a minute. Build succeeded. Look at that. Look at that. I'm not happy that there's no output for the packaging step. I feel like this should absolutely be writing output. So why does my pack task not write anything? So there should be a log message of importance. Am I blind or stupid? Hang on, more verbose output, but I would have expected. Okay, VPK tool exited. Bum. So I wonder if it's actually just file collisions. That would somewhat make sense to me. Let's see. So we are executing from here. Publish. Those are all there. Okay, I'm going to go with that. Success was a lie. Execute. Let's see. VPK tool does not exist. Well, that sounds wrong. What did we do? Let's see. Tools, net 8, any. Okay, so, but .net, why's the hyphen in there? Oh, my up arrow doesn't work anymore because it's actually not matching the command that it ran. So let's recopy this. Let's see here. Bum. Okay, clear that so I'm not confused anymore. So this one now has the .any up here, which is what broke my last up arrow. Oh, and it's prompting for output. Okay, so I believe we have a switch on this to just I don't remember what it is. There's like a always don't prompt. Yeah, so we want to always be passing -- yes. So that's problem there. Just make sure that that actually fixes it. Ooh. And then this is actually still stopping it, even with -- yes. Seems wrong. What's the whole point of passing the -- yes? Console prompt. I thought this guy had the check for doing that. Let's see, basic console. Or is it maybe I just want to switch off of the. Oh, I probably want to switch out of the Spectre console into the other one for this. That'll probably fix my output problem as well. So we want the legacy console option. What is that called? Legacy console is called legacy console option. So I actually want legacy console as my switch in here. Console. Okay. That is better, and that will probably fix the redirected output problem. So let's go back here to our hack task, and on the build args, we want to yield return legacy console, and we want to do the same thing on the publish task, which I've basically set up the exact same way. Okay, and then I think we want to add in the -- yes. I am still surprised that didn't. Well, let me just check. If I go here and go -- yes on top of that, now it works properly. Okay, so between the two of those, we want both. Let's see, yield, turn, dash, dash, yes. To make sure we get all of them. Okay. Okay, so that'll get me to there. And then it should output as one expects. Okay, so we're going to clear that. I'm going to rebuild our package, and I think this should be getting me closer. Come on. And then we'll blow away our NuGet cache. There have been times in my life where I've written scripts that do this build, blow away the cache, rerun thing because I get way too tired and lazy. I'm very tempted to do that now. Or tell Copilot to do it, but eh. It affords turkey eating time. Yeah. Make files are nice. 100% agree. 100% agree. It's one of those situations where it's like, it's only like a 4-line file. Do I spend time doing a 4-line file? Or do I just not do it and see what happens? So, yeah. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Let cancel the debugger pop-up that is showing up on my other screen. Okay. So it shows published, but I am willing to bet it didn't. Yeah. It speeds it up in the long run, right? It absolutely does. It absolutely does. My only question on it now is if it is because I'm changing a bunch of things, if I'm going to end up also then just spending time changing the script. Because right now I've just got, up arrow enter. At least on this half. It's just the deletion of the NuGet cache and the building of the package. Yeah, I could script it. Why is this? So one, I'm now curious why. I am curious why this guy didn't launch and run my target. Let me go. I suppose we can just search Velopack. That'll almost. It's getting late when I can't spell my own package name. Okay, so scanning down the line, looking for purple and yellow in the same line. Purple and yellow in the same line. Purple and yellow in the same line. Didn't see it, so now I go look up the name. Because if you don't see it, you got to find it. Let's see. Build targets. Let's see. This is going to be Velopack build release. So I want to find that target. There she is. So what happened with this target? Using pack target. So it worked and ran. I'm just curious why I don't see any more output than this. So, for example, I see all of these things where it ran and did all of the needful, which is fine. I'm just surprised that I don't see these output lines in my output. I kind of expected to see them being logged out. Because it clearly did it. So, because it logged the message, and the message showed up there. So it did the needful, which is great. Return true. Uh, Log includes generated file. Log messages from stream. Log messages of importance. I kind of assumed. That's just a check. So it works, it just may not output extra data. Is kind of the point that I was hoping for. Is there not a... I don't think there's a higher importance than high. Yeah, so short version, because it's not warning or better, I'm just curious as to what level of output the build succeeded is. Or maybe it's... This may not be a message output. This may be... I wonder if this is lower level than that. Yeah, that's why. Kind of wondered if that was the case. So because I don't have more output being logged. Okay, so if I do this and do like VD, so that's verbosity level detailed, I then should get... could you use git clean to help remove the build artifacts? Yes, but in this case, the build artifacts aren't the problem. So I've got two repositories that I'm bouncing back and forth between. The Velopack repository, which contains the actual project that we're building the Velopack build NuGet package from. And then the other project in question is not currently shown on my screen. Is this autotyper repository, which this is just a WPF app. And the issue is because I've set it up using a NuGet config pointed at a local directory. So this guy here, because he's a local directory, every time it restores NuGet packages, it's pulling from this local directory into my NuGet cache, which is underneath my user profile. And so I can't actually clean up, like, so the git clean, the thing that I need to delete is actually inside my user profile's NuGet cache, not actually somewhere else, because NuGet makes the assumption that packages are immutable. Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of annoying to just go in here and delete it. And it's not a situation that will ever exist in a real NuGet source. It only comes up when you use a local folder directory where you can manipulate and mutate something that's supposed to be immutable. So it's convenient, but this is one of the reasons why local NuGet paths are usually discouraged for everything but testing. Because there's all these kind of weird things about them where they just don't quite work like everyone else. Yeah. So okay. So in this case, once I turn on the verbosity, it then shows me the command being executed. It shows me the created. Okay, great. So I just might want to make sure that when I add docs for this, that I call out that if you want to see the output directory, you need to turn on output. Otherwise, you get the standard MS build. We give you no output, or we give you clean output. Clean and none are roughly the same. Okay, so that worked, and I think it actually produced me. Let's just pop that open real quick. It actually produced me exactly what I expected. So I've got a setup exe, which is great. I've got a full NuGet package here, which is great. I've got a portable package here, which is great. Okay, so now the question is, can I publish? So packing is easy. Publishing is where it gets more interesting. And this is where there's going to potentially be some debate from people. And I understand there's going to be people who hate me for this. But the publish task in here is currently being hard-coded to just publish to Velopack flow. And I don't know. I know we've got a service URL here, but I'm trying to decide if I actually want this. I don't know that I want service URL, and I don't know that I want, API key per se, because we've got better auth that we can do. API key might be the most convenient for pipelines though, so maybe it's worth leaving. We'll leave service URL. So we've got executing VPK. I actually want this to be flow publish, right? I do want that to be flow publish. Technically, this exists out in the publish VPK right now. It's just a hidden command because we weren't quite ready to show. Yeah, so flow. Yeah, and you can see we hide the command. But I mean, it's an open source repository, so even though we hide the command, anybody who opens the repository can see it. Not like it's a secret. So this goes through, does the join. This is embedding an API key in the environment variables. I don't think that does a darn thing. I don't think that does anything. Fairly confident it doesn't. So flow command. Look at API command runner. Allow cache credentials. And this might be because this thing makes the assumption that you've already done a login. So the way flow authentication works is very similar to the Azure CLI. Is just like you would do like an AZ login to authenticate against Azure. For Velopack, you do a VPK login, and then you can log in and authenticate against Flow. Invoke endpoint. Like this is fine, but where is the actual this publish command runner? Because I don't think. Yeah, because he's just gonna do allow cached credentials, invoke login, which login will then attempt to pull back. I guess it does attempt to use an API key when specified, but the API key doesn't come from an environment variable. Yeah. Just trying to look at where this actually comes in from because these publish options, flow service, are specified there, but I don't. Problem. I wrote this. Past Kevin did something that current Kevin is confused about. That's the read. That's the read. That's the mapper. But there's only the mapper. That's fine. But when we do these add commands, it's not like any of these things. These are still just, right? So if I go VPK flow publish, but I spell it correctly, right? Oh, it's hiding the output. Huh. Duh. None of these options are going to be populated from environment variables. There's the tiered rollout. There's all of those. API key, base command, all of that. Oh, look at that. So it will pull from environment. Look at that. Ask Kevin. I don't know if that was past Kevin. That might have been Kalen. Okay, so it will pull from the environment variables. That's okay then. Okay, so that works. If that works, then the publish task is fine to specify the API key in that manner. This way we can log out the command line argument without exposing the API key, which is better. And then this is just going to run the same VPK stuff that we did before. Yeah, so then the question, why didn't it run? Velopack build release. Oh, push on publish needs to be set to true. So if we come back over to here, and I come up here and I go like this, true, and then I need to do a VPK login. And for everybody who's curious, it's going to pop me over to the login screen. So stand by. I have to do the needful. Okay. Yeah. Fine. We will update. Oh, that's funny. It knows that there is a version of VPK updated because this is inside of a NuGet, a repo with a NuGet config that's pointed to a local source. That's funny. We're not going to update it. Okay. Login successfully done. So now if I do, I should change the version so that it's actually a legit version. Because if this goes, I probably want to have it be legit. So you get to see how the sausage is made for a second. So this is going to be, this is Velopack Flow. This is our hosting option for doing all the installer stuff. And then this is AutoTyper. So I've only published the one version. Show. We are going to set. Let me look at how we configure this. I think it'll fall back to version, and it also has a Velopack version. Where's version specified? Yeah, so Velopack pack version here defaults to version. So I'm going to just specify version, I guess. Because that will then get picked up. Version, and we will do 1.0.1. There. That way, if this actually just goes, because I'm now authenticated, so it in theory has everything it needs to pack, build, and run, and we've already done the needful for pack. Since that one's done, publish is probably easy. Oh, I had to shoot myself in the foot. Let's see. Velopack pack ID must be set explicitly. Oh, right. Right. That is a requirement. So with Velopack, when you are specifying, and this is something that you'd specify on the command line as well, is the ID of your application. And I strongly encourage people to give their packages a like a publisher dot name, because packages have to be globally unique. If you pick the same name as someone else's package, users won't be able to install whichever one they try to install second, or it'll overwrite the one that was previously there. So give your packages unique IDs, and your world will be nicer. Velopack Flow will enforce no duplicates, at least on the stuff it's hosting, but it doesn't know about people's self-hosting stuff. So try this again. Now it should hopefully do the needful. I should go get rid of that debugger launch statement because it's kind of annoying me now. Okay, so We went to Kablooey. We tried to execute this. Required command was not provided. I'm trying to look. Let's see. Unrecognized command or argument, publish, output directory, blah, 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 blah. So VPK, is it, was it VPK flow publish? Not publish flow. I think I may have those backwards. Back down to the program. The root command. Oh, it's just VPK publish. Yeah, it's just VPK publish. Okay, so I don't need the word flow in there. So that's the problem. Get rid of that. And then we will rebuild this package. And we'll go blow away the cache again. I know, it's very annoying. And then this is one of the few areas where NPM is kind of nicer. Like it sucks, right? Like NPM CI on a project that has a big dependency chain is really annoying to watch it restore. But at least the restore is inside the repository where things like a git clean you up. Versus NuGet, which is shared and external, or doesn't get cleaned up. I don't know. Grumble, grumble, grumble. I'm never happy. Or something to that effect. Okay. That guy goes there. I'm going to clear this so I can keep track of what I'm doing. And I'm going to find the edge of my window. Launch. Crossing fingers. Because we at least got to the publish step because it aired. We know it got that far, which isn't horribly shocking since we also know that it was able to pack before. Come on. So it is. So it created the release. Successfully published release. Oh, buddy. Goal! Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's going to take a minute while it spins up and does all its processing. But the short version, release is published. Okay. So now we're cooking with fire. We get rid of the debugger launch. Get rid of the bad comment. Don't need all of that garbage in there. Okay, so that handles all of those thingy-mabobbers. That handles all of those things. So, couple things that it needs. It needs to download the prior release so that it can do a delta. And we have the to-do that we left in there about making it a little more resilient for finding the thing. Let's do that first. I'll just get rid of all these worthless comments. Copilot may or may not have had a hand in those. So we insult the AI and we delete them, as is the custom. Okay, so that is there. That is there. Most of the, like, this is, wondering if I should refactor these because these are basically the exact same thing with just a handful of differences. Feels wrong. Yeah, let's refactor these a little bit. So we're gonna do something like oh, shut up. We'll just do it here. Public class VPK task. Right, something of that nature. And we are going to basically bring this whole sucker in. And then we're going to refactor this in because you're going to become abstract. And then we need protected abstract string, build publish arguments. protected virtual dictionary string build environment variables. We're going to get rid of you and turn that. That way you don't need to be fancy. And then you just go with build environment variables. And then the last thing we have is some description stuff. So this is actually wrong now, because these arguments are actually what I really just want to do is these are part of the other one. So we drop that. Oh, that's the wrong one. Why we need to do this? Because the other one has a better success message. Let's just make it an abstract. I don't like that as much, but it's the path of least resistance. And then we're going to do that. And then go implement it. So this guy becomes VPK task. And we got to implement the extra members. Great. Why are you formatted funky? There. Let's see. Build publish arguments. That's not what I want. I want this to actually just be build arguments, I think. Because I don't want these. Needed a little more generic. We're going to take this guy, get rid of him. Down here, arguments. Let's see. Protected. Go. Get success message is going to be this guy. We'll just lambda that guy in, I think. Simple, straightforward, and then we just need, what's the last? Build environment variables we need to override so that we can populate those two. Let's see, protected, override. And I want this little bit here, go into here. There we go. We're going to change you to base. Build environment variables, just in the event that we ever put something in the base, we'll just have that flow through, and then this goes away. Let's see, protected, override, sealed. That way we can't shoot ourselves in the foot by overriding it twice. Move to your own file. Act task comes up here. And we go BPK task. We go implement abstracts. Down here. You are just this guy. Suppose we probably should make a commit. We need a save point. Let's see. Build arguments is going to be protected override. Here we are. Where did it generate that? Get rid of that. And we don't have any environment variables, so we just get rid of all this. There we go. So that's a little cleaner. That makes me feel better. That makes me feel a little better. Let's commit some stuff before we get too carried away. Okay. Well, let's go through these real quick. Okay, so we're gonna start here. Yeah, we want everything there. We want everything there. Package Rust assets, that was key, and then nesting this down a directory, that was also key. We want that. We fixed up the exe extension. We want that. We reordered that so that it's a rainbow merge, but that's okay. This is our new base class. We want that. VPK runner. We want to make this more dynamic. That's still a thing. We're going to keep that change for the moment. And we changed up how we do the helper file output so that we can show when the output directories are not found. That makes our life so much easier. Okay. Send me a commit message. Go, Magic AI. Go. Great. Thank you. Okay, so let's do that. And now let's go and do the magical code generation-y bits. Show. To make that happen, let's look at where we're doing this. So this is VPK tool runner. So step one, we're going to partial this class. That's step one. And so I would like to change this method to exist in a partial where we generate this out. That's, I think, the end goal of what I would like. Show, to do that, we need to come in here because at the end of the day, this is the path that we want to include inside of the other one, which is the variable that I want to have. Right? Because this is tools net any. Yeah. So what we want is we need to make sure that this is included before we build. Stop it. Build. So we need a task that fires before build. Let's see. And we need it to generate the same input and outputs. How do we ensure? I'm just trying to think of what's the easiest way to do this because I don't really want to write a C# incremental source generator for this particular thing. We could just leverage an attribute. That might be the path of least resistance and then just look it up. That could be. Copilot, help me out here real quick. Here, Doc. You can be useful. I want to add a new MS build. What are you squawking about down here? Why do you have the triangle? Sonnet 4.5 experiencing degraded performance. That makes me feel not very happy. That's my favorite model. I want to add a new MS build thingy that will create an assembly level attribute in my project with the value foo. Make it so. We'll see how this guy goes. There's an MS build. I want to say attribute that can built-in code generation capabilities. Yeah, that's what I want. Do that thing. Great. Thanks. Shut up. Go away. Yeah, that's the thingy. Okay. That is the thingy. Great. Go away. You've done your part. Okay, so this guy is creating assembly metadata attribute. Did you add a file to this anywhere? Or did you just break my build? I want to look at what you actually are generating. Because I think it's expecting assembly metadata attribute. Okay, so it's going to generate an assembly metadata attribute with the name of Velopack custom attribute and the value of whatever we shove in here. Great, fine. This is not what we want. But it is close enough to be what we want. So we have these guys here. And what we would like to do is hard code in the, or I shouldn't say hard code in, we would like to variabilize the path where we inject in VPK so we can find it. Also, this type of BS around needing to deal with framework and core stuff dies with net 10. The problem is I can't assume that everybody using my stuff is on net 10. So, for more details, come to my talk, the .NET user group. I don't know if I'll actually get to it or not. It's on my list of things to cover, but it's also on my optional list because the number of people who build MS Build tasks is low. So it's like it's nice, but it's yeah, that's fine. Where did that go? Am I blind or stupid? Where did I put that? Oh, it's in my CS proj, not in my build targets. This is what I want to. And it added to okay, so this is stupid for a number of reasons because it put it in the wrong place. This is going to be packaged as content, and I want this as a build step here. So what we would like to do is something like this. And we're gonna go here. And then we want this to not be Velopack custom attribute. We want this to be Velopack VPK pack location. Something like that. I think that's probably better. And we're not going to do this conditional garbage. We're prefixing the name with an underscore to indicate that this is functionally private. So this is not, if somebody mucks with this, it's at their own peril. Because this is something we're using as part of our own script, and it really shouldn't be played with. Okay, so that goes there. And then I want to put the same value in there. And Velopack VPK pack location is going to go like that. And now what we can do is inside of our tool runner, we can go get executing assembly, custom attribute. Let's see. Assembly metadata attribute. First or default. X dot. Type ID. I thought it was called key. There, it is called key. Nope, that's not it. It is this guy. Dot value. Let's see. Assembly directory. VPK. Pack location. And maybe we should just change this to single so it stops yelling at me. And then we're going to do empty string. No, we should throw new invalid operation exception. Can I just not spell? Invalid operation exception. Am I crazy or stupid? Oh. We not have implicit usings turned on? Huh. On implicit usings, please. Let's see. Could not find VPK pack location. Because this is generated, it should not be a big deal. Oh, I guess we are going to need to pull out the executing assembly twice. Let's see. Assembly. And then this is going to be assembly dot location. That. And then this comes down here of, this is going to be VPK pack location. And we get rid of our to-do. And now that should solve the problem. Let's rebuild. Come in here and we'll blow this guy away. And we are going to go to our auto typer. We're going to turn this to false so we aren't publishing. Because we're only testing, can we find VPK, which is good enough to just not. Because the goal here is that people can just add a package, set the pack ID, VPK login, and you're off to the races. That is the goal. Now we come here. Sure, send it. This should. Oh. I'm saying oh because I just got a debugger launch, which concerns me. Because now I'm not as confident that this thing has the updated code. We're just going to do this. Intentionally break it. Because I want to see it go red, then green. We're gonna break it real quick. Oh, I know why it didn't change. I did a commit. Once again, my same comment from earlier. I love the Git versioning, except for it is a repeated foot gun for stuff like this. I am constantly shooting myself in the foot, not realizing what I have done. Now I need to back up to here and grab my latest build package. Because now we can just grab that much of it. Copy. Let's go over here to AutoTyper. And we will change its package version. Because every time you... Actually, I think I can just do this. I don't think I need it anymore. Okay. That is there. And then out here on the cache, it's unhappy right now. Now it should work, but it should pull the new version because the version number changed. No, I still got the... Did I not delete the debug warning out of the code? Because I'm still getting the debug pop. Not there, unless I put it in the VPK task. Nope, Modifiers are not ordered. Order modifiers. Fine. You want sealed first. Clean up those. That gets me in. Okay. Which version did you restore? DVD, that should be the latest one. This was 1208, so that is my... different about my version number. Oh, it 373. I didn't copy the whole thing. Bet you the automatic package restore now pulls it in. Look at that. What a shock. Okay. Bet you it works now. Now that I've got the right version number in it. Okay, so a sequence contains no matching elements. So when it went to go find that, so it did not compile with the assembly attribute as anticipated. Go see what actually got built. So if we rebuild this guy, and then the easiest way to check these, so you can decompile if you want, but if you go to your OBJ directory, and then in our case, we're going to look at Velopack build, there should be a assembly attributes thingy-mabobber that gets generated. Let's see, let's do net 8. Right, because yeah, you're net 472 net 8. And then what I expect to see is something like, I think it's this one. Nope. One of these guys is going to have, one of these guys should have my file in it. Let's see, assembly info. So it generated all of these assembly metadata. So that's fine, but where is the other one? I did add it in the right place, didn't I? Assembly attribute. Yep. Oh, it's got a condition on it. Dang it. No conditionals. That's the problem. It had a condition on it, so it never generated. That is one of the inherent difficulties with MS Build is variables are not declared. They're just wished into existence. Kind of like some other languages where you don't actually have to declare them. It's just as soon as you use them, which is great until you do something like that. Just want to see this work because I'd really love to push this commit and then be able to open a PR because this would make me very happy. Copilot, shut up. You're a liar. Like, I don't doubt you found similar code. I just doubt that that's relevant. Okay. Now we should get the new build where it finds it and Velopack build release. Yay! Release created. Here we go. Automatic generation, cleaned up. Suppose we should probably actually review the changes real quick. So let's collapse this. So implicit usings, variable, assembly match location, and what's the change here? Just use the variable. Great. Let's discard these changes. Actually, there's no reason to have the property group. We can keep that. Like, we aren't putting anything in it. Let's see. White space cleanup up at the top. That's fine. Keep. Reordered the modifiers and cleaned up the usings. Keep. Cleaned up the usings We don't need this partial unstage that portion of it. I don't think because we don't we I thought we were going to generate a class for this, but we don't need to. Okay. That all looks good. Commit, push. And I think that gets me all the way there. So we now have a functioning build package. I don't know that there's anything else I need to do besides add documentation around this. Because the end goal now is that when people want to, assuming you're using a .NET thing or something that's using MS Build, like MS Build isn't specifically for .NET, but I suspect the vast majority of people using MS Build are on .NET based projects. You do need a pack ID to publish, because until you specify the ID of your package, we require explicit declaration rather than inferring it from most of the stuff. Pack on publish will you need to default to true, but I'm wondering if just we don't even need that. Oh, do we need? I'm just looking. I'm wondering if we should auto publish if. I know we had a debate about this before, whether this should default to true or false. Could default it to true. I kind of wonder if we default it to true and just fall back on it. Yeah, so it intentionally is checking for if the pack ID has been. Because it'll use the assembly name as the pack ID for the purposes of packing, but it really wants you, if you're going to publish, it wants you to specify one explicitly. And again, the intent here is the publish task. We are probably not going to open it up for publishing to other targets. If somebody wants to fork this and make one that does, go for it. But I think we're going to keep the publish focused on flow for now. But if you want to use the build package just to do the packing for you, have at it. That should work. Because I know I've seen a handful of people already write MS Build scripts around VPK. Just automatically bringing those in. Yeah, so then all you do is you reference the NuGet package. So you need to have the NuGet package here. You need to set a pack ID, and then you need some form of version. And it really depends on how versioning's hard, because this version will also apply to like your assembly version and all of that other stuff. And it might be like in my case for this app, I think I do actually want this as to apply everywhere. But if you have different versioning that maybe doesn't line up, where maybe the published version of the app isn't the same as the installer version, right? You can just set what is it, Velopack version? Yeah, Velopack pack version to some value, because it only falls back to version when this value is unspecified. You can certainly go through and add those in as well. It just works. Just works. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for coming in and hanging out. Thank you, Chris, for the raid. If you are listening while lurking, as always, if people are interested, I stream every evening. I'm Pacific Coast of the United States, so for me it's Thursday evening, 9 p.m. for as long as I can tolerate it, or until I run out of Mountain Dew. Though I think tonight the vast amounts of tryptophan in my system from the copious amount of turkey that I may have eaten is starting to catch up to me. I.e., I'm tired. It's time to sleep. With that, I'll tell everybody happy coding. See y'all next time.